Long ago, a grandfather and a grandson were walking together through the forest. And the grandfather was explaining life to the boy. "There's a terrible battle going on inside me," the grandfather says. "You can't see it, but it's between two wolves. One wolf they call evil, and he is full of greed and superiority, self-pity and inferiority, ego, hatred, and lies. And the other wolf is called good. And he embodies kindness and peace, humility, generosity, joy, empathy, love, and compassion. And these two wolves are in a constant fight to the death. And it's not just me that has the two wolves fighting inside them. They are inside of every single human being, including you. The grandson, eyes wide, took a moment to reflect on this. And at last, he asked, "Grandfather, which wolf will win the fight?" And the old man gave a simple reply. "Whichever one you feed." Our impulses are like the wolves in the parable. When we react to an impulse, it's like we're feeding the wolf. And the sequence of behaviors triggered by the impulse can become habituated, automated. A well-fed wolf, so strong, it's able to drag you across the floor like a rag doll. Of course, a lot of our habits are good. We have habits of showing kindness and caring, habits of listening, habits of appreciating. But then, of course, we all have those other habits, those darker impulses that overwhelm us again and again. I certainly do. But there is one type of an impulse that I have through practice and dedication stopped succumbing to. And that is the impulse to scream in the faces of small children. For the first several years of being a parent, there would be these moments of peak frustration where I would find myself exploding. Often it was in the morning, trying to get the kids ready for school. It'd be time to put their shoes on, or I'd have some other request, which seemed to me it should be simple enough, but there would be delays and distractions. Sometimes they would just fully ignore me, like I didn't even exist. And being totally disregarded like that, over and over, feeling like I had no control at all. What would start as a feeling of restless agitation in my stomach would build and build until I was a keg of dynamite. And then I would go off. In the aftermath, my kids would be heaving with cries, scrambling into their shoes. By the time I dropped them off at the school, they were shaken as I told them to have a good day. My rage drained and replaced by a sickening stew of shame. All of our impulses have their origins in biology, evolution, our personal psychologies and histories, generational patterns. For all kinds of complicated reasons, the wiring gets set. But if an impulse can be seen as an advisor strongly suggesting a course of action, then mine was clearly giving me egregiously bad advice. How many mornings had I yelled at these kids, only for everyone to feel terrible and still be late for school? And so I tried, and often I failed, but I kept trying to weave in a little space, patience, breath, to begin to separate myself from the impulse. This was not something I had ever consciously done before. I mean, we all have a cacophony of impulses going off inside all the time. And usually we don't even notice them. They're totally invisible because we react to them so immediately. We go straight to the reaction and don't even get the chance to experience the impulse itself. As I began to watch my impulse unfold, I could see there was an arc to it. What would begin as an itchy, uneasy feeling would gather momentum until it was a physical pressure in my chest. A strong impulse would surge through me like a rising wave in a boiling ocean, noisy and confusing, pushing until it reached a towering crescendo. But then, like every wave in the ocean, it falls. Just because a wolf is barking doesn't mean you have to give it the treat. It can be hard. The wolves can be persuasive. They can be loud and scary. And ignoring them doesn't work. In fact, turning your back on an angry wolf will only make the situation worse. It's dangerous. You have to face them calmly, watch their every move, and eventually they go quiet. It takes some patience and practice. And so today, we're going to do a little exercise of facing the wolf without feeding it. We're going to practice observing our impulses instead of reacting to them. To set the conditions, I invite you, starting now, to keep your body perfectly still other than your breath. And keep your attention focused on the flow of sensations of your breath and in your body. It can seem very simple, but this type of exercise can offer the opportunity to observe some very strong impulses. Because what often happens is that the moment you tell yourself to be still and present, a hurricane of activity suddenly arises. Your body might spark with a million itches or discomforts. Your mind might be bombarded by thoughts. Your inner voice might pipe up, asking, "What is the point of this? When are you ever really gonna need to be perfectly still in life?" And of course, that inner voice might have a point. It's wanting to preserve your energy. It's trying to help you. voice doesn't always see the bigger picture. It doesn't always have wisdom. What would happen if you just acknowledged the voice with compassion, but then let it go? What would happen? What could happen if you were able to feel your urges without following them, even if it's just for a few extra seconds? As you continue with this exercise of stillness, thoughts will come and go. That's perfectly natural. Just keep returning to the sensations. And if any urge arises, just scratch, move the legs, lick the lips. See what happens if you just tune in to the experience, not trying to resist, just noticing what the urge really feels like. Does the itch or the sense of restlessness or whatever it is have a location in the body? Does it have boundaries? Is there a sense of lightness or darkness? A texture? A temperature? Is it moving? Changing? Trust that usually the worst things that these feelings can do is make you feel them. It's usually the reactions to our feelings that can cause all the harm. So all you need to do is just pay attention. When an impulse is ignored, it just becomes the reaction. But just by noticing and observing our impulses, they already lose so much of their power. Notice the liberation you feel when you realize you have all the space to hold the experience in your awareness. That you can ride the wave without being sucked into the waters. Now, release any need to be still or focused. But before we conclude this journey, we have one final destination. We're gonna go on a brief trip to the ocean. So now imagine that you're standing on a beautiful beach. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your face, and you can feel the gentle breeze on your skin. You begin to walk slowly down the shore. The sand is soft on your feet. As you get closer to the water, it gets more damp and crunchy. And the waves rumble steadily in the background. You step closer to the ocean until you're standing at the edge of the surf. Cool water rushes over the tops of your feet. The air is so warm and salty, and the water is sparkling with every shade of blue and green. And when the waves peak, they froth and churn, and then disappear into the vastness of the ocean. The waves in the ocean are just like our impulses. They're powerful for a short time, and then, before long, they peak and fade away. We don't need to suppress our impulses or try to change them. They all simply fade away on their own. And now, for the last minute of this practice, just listen to the music and watch the rising and falling of your breath, the rising and falling of impulses. No need to do anything about anything except surf all the waves.